Join us now on the latest in Washington. Punchbowl News co-founder Jake Sherman. He's also an NBC News and MSNBC political contributor. Jake, welcome. We were talking off camera, and I said I think that Epstein post undercut his whole argument about the bill so much that now I think the bill, it just pulled the rug out from under some valid criticism that I've made about the bill, and we've made about the bill as well, that it doesn't cut enough, and that the $3 trillion is too much to add. Maybe the CBO is wrong. Maybe there will be growth, but maybe there are some improvements the Senate could make.
Joe, I think you're right. I think it changed the discussion from a relatively substantive discussion about the reconciliation package, which you can make, as you noted, you can make arguments on either side of it. I can make arguments on either side of it, and it turned it into a little bit of a circus. But let me say this. I do think there is risk for Donald Trump in this feud, especially vis-a-vis the reconciliation bill. And I don't want to overstate it, but if Elon Musk goes on X and says, I want everyone to call their member of Congress and complain about this bill and tell them not to vote for it, there is risk with that, right? I mean, members of Congress are, at least to some degree, to varying degrees, susceptible to criticism from their constituents, especially when their phone lines are being lit up. But you're absolutely right that Musk was making a substantive argument, which had some constituency on Capitol Hill, and it turned into a little bit of a cartoonish circus. Yeah, so yes, I agree with that completely.
You like sausage, Jay? You like chicken sausage? I like full-on sausage. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't eat pork, but I do like sausage as a broad. The broad food category.
But no one likes watching it be made, but that's what you do. And I just want to talk about what would have to happen to get it done on time. Explain to me to make that July 4th date. First, it's the Finance Committee. All the important things need to be done and settled on, whether it's SALT or Medicaid or clean energy, business tax. All that has to be settled first, and that would have to happen this week to get.
Yeah, that's what we wrote in the newsletter this morning in Punchbowl News AM. So this week that we need to see text from the Senate Finance Committee, which, as you noted, deals with tax and Medicaid. So what needs to happen this week? Let's just take the two big issues that you mentioned right here, which is SALT and the clean energy tax credits. SALT, you had a deal in the House of Representatives to set the SALT cap at $40,000 for people making less than $500,000. That was a very hard fought, as you'll remember, deal between moderate Republicans, mostly from blue states, and all from blue states, and the leadership and conservatives. Now that got over to the Senate, and Senate Republicans said, well, we don't have any blue state Republicans really, so we don't really want a $40,000 cap. We want a much lower cap. Mike Lawler said to me last week, and other members of the SALT caucus in the House have said, if that moves from 40,000, we're going to vote no. They've already taken that hardline position. So that's the SALT issue that needs to be solved. Clean energy tax credits. In the House, conservatives demanded a quicker phase out of those tax credits. Those tax credits are incredibly important to businesses, many of which have started lines of business with those tax credits in mind. Now, the Senate wants to go a little bit slower on phasing those out. That will not fly in the House. So those are just two issues that are completely intractable at this moment. We'll have to see where they land. Or the Senate might just do it at once and say to Mike Johnson, figure it out in your chamber. That's your problem. I don't think that's going to happen. But that all needs to happen this week. And I want to say one other thing. The July 4th deadline is self-imposed. The debt limit, according to most experts and Treasury even, is going to be reached at some point in August. July 4th is well before August. They're trying to get this done before the July 4th recess and before the August month-long recess that Congress takes. So they actually have more time than they are letting on. And I think that's important as we get into this next phase for people not to freak out. There is more time than they say that they have.
So as a experienced watcher of all things D.C., we probably aren't going the Ron John two-bill route, are we? Thune's going to try and do. They're going to try and do. The toothpaste is out of the tube. It's a one big beautiful bill. in your heart of hearts, does it get done? Does it get
yes, it does.
By the Senate and then they figure out a way of hashing things out in the House, and it gets signed?
I don't know that it gets done by July 4th, but I actually don't think that really matters. I think it gets done by at some point this summer. I think it probably gets done in time to raise the debt limit by August. And by the way, some outside estimates have it in September, October, but the debt limit, that is, I think it gets done by August. And I think it's going to be harder than most people are letting on at this point.